Hello, my name is Jenan Kanono. I'm the team leader at Jonaki Holdings Limited, where we get to serve you. So if you have a financial challenge, if you have a money problem, if you want to scale up your business, we have you sorted. And you can always check us out at www.thejonakiholdings.com for money solutions. We are located in Tinda as our headquarters and at Mulago Business Center as our branch. Enjoy this video. Welcome for today's topic. Our today's topic is what are those efforts that have been undertaken by government and the relevant stakeholders to organize the money lending industry in Uganda. So you realize that it's not government alone which is responsible for organizing this industry. The stakeholders, including the lenders, including the borrowers, including other players in the industry, have a role to play. They have a role to play. So if you're a person who has been wanting to invest in this industry, both in Uganda or probably you're in the diaspora, and you'd like to understand the climate that happens, the climate that is existent in Uganda, so this video will help you a lot. So there are a number of efforts that the government has undertaken to organize the money lending industry in Uganda, and one of the efforts, one of the things it has done concerns the regulation, the regulatory framework. Truth be told is that this law was not existing before. It came into place in 2016. So that means previously, it was a bit of a vacuum. We were not really regulated. So that's why money lending industry in Uganda was marred with a lot of predatory practices, some of the malpractices, some of the bad vices, where actually people are basing some of their sentiments or some of their perceptions concerning the industry. But as time has moved, things have changed. It is no longer the case. So I am here to share with you the good news that things have changed a lot. So as an investor or as a person who is in the lending industry or the person who wants to join the lending industry, that efforts have been undertaken by the government and by the players, the lenders, to organize this industry. And one of them, just like I highlighted, regulatory framework. We have the Money Lenders Act, Tier 4 Microfinance and Money Lenders Act of 2016 and the attendant regulations of 2018. Now, you realize that if there is an act, it has the breakdown of what it is that you're meant to do as a lender. What are your obligations as a lender? What are the obligations of the borrower? What are the obligations of the government? In the event that the obligations are not observed by any of the parties, what's the way forward? What does someone do? Like, if I give one of the examples that is, we used to hear then, that someone would borrow money from a company, and then when the time comes for paying back, when someone hides or probably flies out of the country, in such scenarios, the act and the regulations actually get to bridge that gap. They explain to you, if you're struggling with an agreement, you have a lender's agreement. There are a few things that you actually have to have as a must that are highlighted in the regulations. So if you're a lender and you have a particular agreement and you've not looked at the regulations, then it's high time you looked at them. Why? Because you need to tailor your documents that you use to lend the money to make sure that they are aligned to the regulatory framework. It is important that they are aligned because then you'll be operating in vacuum. You'll face challenges with the industry and with the borrowers. The other one is, institutional oversight. Apart from the regulatory framework, there's institutional oversight. We have an institution which regulates the industry. We have a regulator who is meant to keep us in shape, who is meant to keep the borrowers in shape as well. So we have the regulator. It is not a non-regulated environment. And in this case, for Uganda's case, we have the Uganda Microfinance Regulatory Authority that is fully mandated by the Act and the attendant regulations to actually regulate the industry. And one of the things that they actually do is to ensure we are licensed. So if you're a person who is lending and if you're an entity or a business that is lending money and you do not have a license, it's high time you actually looked up for a license, because before you know it, the long arm of the government, of the law, will catch up with you. You do not know when you next end up in court. You do not know when you next have a defaulter, because your hands will be tied to collect that money in case of default if you do not have a license. And you see, some of the people do not apply for licenses thinking that it's a long bureaucratic process. It is not the case. It is not the case. As a matter of fact, for the guys that I mentor in the money lending and some of the guys I get to share with, some of them thought that to get a license you need actually to part with as much as 5 million Uganda shillings It's not the case. You probably need as much as 550,000 to actually get a license. It is as cheap as that. So you can imagine if you don't have the information, how you can actually suffer. So we have institutional oversight that you can actually, engage as a lender, or even get to understand as a borrower, understand your rights. You have someone to engage, you have some institution to engage. So one of their roles is licensing. The second role is compliance, because in any industry there are non-compliances. So the regulator exists to ensure compliance. There are those who have licenses, but there are those who don't have licenses. But also there are those lenders that have licenses but do not comply to the regulations. They don't comply to what the regulations tell them to do. So there's need for compliance, which the regulator actually does. So the regulator does the licensing as well as the compliance. But also that aside is that our environment, consumers are protected. So I speak now to the borrowers, because ultimately we as lenders thrive because the borrowers are thriving. In the event that there are no borrowers, then the lenders will not be existent. That's why it should be a symbiotic relationship between the lenders and the borrowers. And that's why in most of the videos, I actually tell us that, as a lender, you have to aim at creating a relationship with the borrower. Because before you know it, if you serve that client very well, and you're building that relationship, then ultimately you reach a moment and you get to autopilot. For a plane, when it's taking off, it first, staggers a bit and then it stabilizes. Is what we call autopilot, where even the pilot can actually have the luxury of, moving around, or probably catching a cup of tea when it is on autopilot. So same happens in business. So you reach a moment, just because you've served the clients very well, and through referral system, through word of mouth, you reach autopilot, where clients bring you more clients. Why? Because you've served them well. Now, research has showed that the best marketing approach, the best marketing procedure is through word of mouth. And how do you create good word of mouth from the clients? To become your raving fans is through serving them well. So you can imagine if you're not minding them, then you might actually suffer. You spend a lot on marketing than you'd spend on someone referring you, and people tend to trust. With lending, just like any other industries, but it's unique in a way, we bank on trust. If a client trusts you, he can actually borrow from you at 10% or 8% or 5% when there's someone who is offering them 2%. Why? Because it's a trust thing, especially for genuine clients, because they do not want to lose their collateral. They do not want to fall in problems. It's trust. So you need to actually build trust. So to show you that we are getting organized, that the consumer is also protected. In the event that the lender is not minding the consumer, but the consumer has the liberty to engage the regulator so that his or her plight is understood, so that his issue is actually understood. So he has that responsibility, and he can benefit of the same. The other second final one is capacity building. Capacity building. Now, this has been a lacking element, especially for lenders in Uganda. It has been a very, very lacking element, which would have been a very good effort towards organizing this industry. It had been a very, very good effort towards organizing this industry, because one of the things that can help is through capacity building, through training programs. But this gap, just because it has not been bridged by the government, does not mean that it's going to be left in vacuum. That's why, as an association, if you're a lender and you don't belong to Uganda Money Lenders Association, it's high time you did, because I serve on that leadership. So you as a borrower should know that there are some lenders that are subscribed to the Association of the Lenders, and it's one of the efforts we are doing to capacity build, to train our fellow lenders that, look, if you're going to thrive in this industry, it had better be organized. It's not about competition, it's about collaboration. We need to grow together. So capacity building as an association, it's one of the things that we have on our agenda as an association for Uganda, for Uganda's lenders. We need to build capacity. If I'm doing better in a particular area, I ought to share with you so that we can grow together. This has been a very big gap, which is a very good opportunity to actually even capacitate ourselves and thrive in business. So as one of the efforts towards organizing the lending industry. So we want to cover it up as an association, but also we shall work hand in hand with the regulator, because they also have a role to play. But look, no one will come to fight for us. No one will come to, to support us. much of the time the regulator, runs very fast towards the consumer. He comes least towards the lender. So we ought to organize ourselves through our association, and then we can actually get to, to organize our industry and get to thrive and grow together. So one of the things that, as my parting shot, is that if you don't belong to our association, Uganda Money Lender Association, you should actually belong. You should belong, sign up, so that you can, build your capacity, so that you can grow, and so that you can serve your clients better. Because in isolation, I doubt you can get very far. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Always, like, comment, highlight a topic that you'd like me to talk about. But above all, check us out at www.jonakiholdings.com. As you may know, iron sharpens iron, so I ought to sharpen you as you sharpen someone else, or as you sharpen me back. So give your comment and give feedback. Thank you for watching, and God richly bless you.